What is going on YouTube? Chrono here and welcome back to our free-to-play character. Challenge character. I still haven't thought of a name for this series and honestly I probably never will. Anyway, we are back. Like I mentioned in the previous video, we're going to be tackling the Ordinal Tower in today's video. So as you can see, we do have a battle power gate to beat. We need to get past 2647. And Ordinal Tower has a ton of really good first time resources that we can go ahead and use to our advantage. Now, technically you could be doing this the entire way as you're leveling up. You can go through here. This does not scale to your current level. It basically is like level equivalent to the different levels of the tower up to, I think, 6th floor. I want to say it's 6 floors total. It's either 6 or 7 floors, I forget. But as you can see, the first time reward for the level 15 version gives us class X cubes. These are going to be very useful to us into making our character much more powerful. So you're probably going to see us, no, maybe we'll wait until the end. I might wait until the very last stage, roll some of these, because I'm not sure if I wanted to roll these in a video and show you guys how these work out, or if I wanted to roll these separately. Maybe we'll talk about them in a video. No, I know how I'm going to do this. We'll probably talk about them in a future video. I do have an entire video series covering this and how you should be rolling them and what you should be doing. So you can always check the channel out looking up something called add-on skills, and you'll find exactly what you're looking for. But we're just gonna be going through Ordinal Tower and what we're gonna be doing for it. So, like I always show off at the very beginning, in case you're new to the series, we have spent $0.00 on this character. Does not matter how economical that choice is, we're not spending any money. 0 premium, and our purchase history is completely empty. All we have is star gems, which technically by this point, if you're playing regularly, I recommend you pick up the material storage. It is 720 star gems for 3 months. Definitely worth its weight in gold. If you're someone who plays regularly, I would definitely pick it up. If you're someone who plays in bursts, I would wait. Maybe wait for a time frame you are going to be playing more often. I currently am using just the 2 storages they give you. All we have is default and character storage, as you can see. Character storage is where I store most of my upgrade materials, as well as my capsules and things like that. Where default storage is where I store my main weapons and stuff like that that I get, that they give me as drops, or that I plan on holding on to, maybe to sell in the future. My buffs, as well as anything I have in this last tab here. So nothing too crazy there. That's pretty much what I'm working with. As far as weapons, we have our Evil Coat Blade from beforehand, and armor, we have the Schwarzet armors that we purchased off of the market. These again were 51k a piece, so we spent a total of 153k. Nothing too crazy. I'd love to re-augment those, but I'm not going to spend the money on that. We currently have about 360k to our name. Oh yeah, and we're Meseta Gold now, by the way. I know I mentioned this in the previous episode. I did make my character a different color because the color change passes. Never explained why I went with this. Some people want to see this character be different than my main character. This is going to be his look moving forward, and my main character's look is going to change because of next week's scratch anyway. So I've already changed my main character's look from this baseware. If you guys are familiar following my streams, I'm using a completely different look from there. You guys will see that on stream later, but this will be this character's look moving forward for quite some time. I like the look, I like the color. We don't have access to a bunch of color change passes, and spending a bunch on this stuff does end up costing us too much money. So we actually end up costing ourselves some money buying some basewares, and it kind of sucked. So I don't want to do that again. Anyway, we're gonna be doing Ordinal Tower. I'd recommend picking up food to do Ordinal Tower. Actually, we're gonna teleport over here and take a look and see what we've got. Okay, so we're gonna take a look and see what food we have here. We are in Alio, so crisp Alio. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of crisp Alio meat, so we can do that. We can go 7-1-1-1. We know we're gonna be using all of this. We're gonna be tackling the tower, which we're doing completely solo. You can do this in a group. You don't have to do this solo. You can do this with friends, and I recommend, if you have anyone to run with, to definitely do it in a group. If you have a friend that can carry you, do that as well. But part of this challenge is also showing that you don't need either one of those things. When I did this on my original character, or my main character, I did this completely solo as well. So my main character also was geared to the teeth. I'm also going to show you that you don't need to be geared to the teeth to do this. Probably going to take me longer, so this video might be a bit of a longer video, and it's already 5 minutes and we haven't even started yet. So definitely grab yourself a drink. I am sitting back here with the Malta for any of my other Hispanic brethren out there who know what that is. Those of you who like it, and apparently there's some of you out there that don't. I was unaware that was even possible, but apparently that's also a thing. Let's see here. I don't know what I'm gonna need when it comes to. I do know that no, because I don't have access to a shortcut for that. Let's go fire. I mean, if it's an issue, I don't think I'm gonna really care that much about element at all. I think I'm just going to kick if I'm gonna kick, so it shouldn't be too bad. But let's go ahead and get started on the very first quest. Now, this is going to go by really quickly. We're actually gonna also just do something here. And we can use a proper password. Let's do no, let's just spam word. Let's spam letters. Doesn't matter. All right. And in we go. These first couple are actually pretty simple. To the point where I almost want to just cut them out, but I'm just going to leave all of this in. We're going to have a little 30-second dialogue with each other before starting each of these fights. Cool thing about the start of this is you can actually see the final rank. That tower right there is going to be what we're going towards. And it starts here where this is cool and like you have to fight a couple enemies, but it doesn't continue to do that, right? Like you're not jumping into each one of these different floors. It's just the first one and the last one, which is very awkward to me. All right, just a Cragbear to fight. Looks like fire was actually the right choice here. And he's dead. Nice and easy, nice and simple. Nothing too crazy. And as you can see, we got our first time rewards. All those wonderful X cubes. We'll take the monetite. We'll deposit that into our character storage because that's where that goes. And the rest of it we'll sell. And let's hop out to the next stage. Now this release, we had high hopes for it. And the environment looked a lot like what we were hoping, but this didn't really have much staying power like a lot of things in NGS. I think they're really afraid, like they're legitimately terrified of actually of providing too many resources to the player. One big issue in base PSO2 was that you really could get away with getting some insane buffs just by getting one-time rewards that made a lot of things completely useless. So they are very like they're very generous with some of the one-time rewards, and in other places like the repeatable rewards just aren't fantastic, which means that they do sell for quite a bit. But I mean, people get discouraged so often with farming these things that they just believe it doesn't exist, and they call me NGS consistently unrewarding. Where the the ironic truth would be that if these things drop more often, they'd be worth substantially less, meaning they'd be making a lot less money in those situations. But some people would prefer to make less more often than make more every once in a while, which I totally understand as well. And would like to see change in the future, but I digress. This is mostly just me ranting as we're going through Ordinal Tower because it's not going to be a difficult process. Well, it won't be difficult if Next actually fights me. Oh, well, that's annoying. And you could make this easier by doing it, or make this harder by doing this as you're leveling through it. And you do get some pretty good gear for yourself while you're going through this process. Get a JI off. He died to a single JI. That's beautiful. Rank 3 is finished. We got ourselves more cubes. These substitute unlockers are actually really useful, and I probably could have used these a lot earlier, but Yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah. Oh, these two get deposited. Having a system for stuff like this, though it might take a little longer, does keep your storages nice and easy to manage. All right, so we have photon scales, an insane number of photon scales actually. Funny enough, someone asked me how I had so many photon scales. You get 200 for just doing this. So in case you're curious, I keep making that mistake of not just doing this. Not that people are doing this, but I really don't want to run into a situation where I queue with someone and I don't really mean to, and then I have to like either run it and then edit it out and then do it again solo, or just leave that person and I'd feel bad. So this is what I like to see. This reminds me of things like Divide, where we're just in random landscapes going through, and I'd love to see this type of content come back in that sort of way, right? Like, this is what they should do for Cocoons. The blank walls really just kind of get people bored and things like that. Having these arenas and stuff like that in the midst of areas that we've been in before, while not like crazy overdone, is still a bit more exciting than the blank walls. I feel like that would make a huge difference in like some of this content being more playable and less, you know, irritating to do. Oh, this guy's actually really fun to fight if you know what you're doing. He's pretty easy parry bait. So we'll probably shred right through him. Fortunately, fights that we know really well don't usually last long, as you can see. Though the final floor of Tower, we're absolutely going to get shredded. We're going to get demolished. It's gonna happen. It's just something you're gonna have to be ready for. Go and toss this in there. There we go. It's not that running this at the very end wasn't, you know, wasn't satisfying. Running the final floor of Ordinal Tower is actually a lot of fun, and it will be the ARCS record coming up pretty soon. The issue was that running the final floor of Ordinal Tower was exactly the same every single time. There was no variance. There was no difference. It was the same bosses in the same order that you could choose between, and that wasn't very fun. Adding like, you know, modifiers to that doesn't really make it more interesting. Now, if the bosses were a bit more randomized, the stages like this were a bit more randomized in the mix, I feel like it'd be much better. Even if it wouldn't be like perfect, right? Like say this was, we had more randomized stages that you pick between. That was something that happened in Divide Quest, and I feel like I'm doing the Divide Quest rant again. And for those of you guys who remember or have watched my live streams, feel free to toss in the comments same Divide Quest rant. But that's what made Divide Quest so nice, was yeah, you had the random modifiers that would screw with you a bit, but you had like branching paths, and you choose between those two paths. You kind of chose your modifiers in a sense, but not really. And a lot of the arenas that you fought in weren't always like, it was a ton of sets of arenas that you fought in, right? So your runs weren't always the same. And though it's not a large amount of variance, it is just enough to make it feel interesting. Nogweth is getting shredded. Oh, of course, I missed the parry there. Each time thinking I'm going to have enough PP to be able to start my attack, I just don't. Come on. And he's dead. But I mean, I expect these enemies are like level 30 something. I'm going to shred through them quite a bit for a while. What do we have here? We have a Tempest weapon, which is nice. We don't need them though. And this is going to go into default, and these I will put into character. I may opt into getting material storage at some point, but again, I just want to, it sounds kind of petty, but I don't want to give people an excuse as to why something isn't fair to them. I'm going to make this as difficult as possible on myself because I want to make it so as a situation that you as a player feel like you're able to accomplish this, because I was able to do it with maybe even less resources than you would have had. Okay, so this enemy's level 55. This is a bit more around where we're at. I think this fight is Raylan. See, this is the crazy part, right? Like, The stages from actually every stage from 1 all the way up to 5 realistically could have been just randomly cycled with all the different bosses, and I think it would have been a better quest. Like, choose your different path or whatever, like take the divide quest formula with just those boss stages, and as much as it wouldn't have been perfect, I feel like it would have been better. Yeah, because this is Raylan, right? Yep. I'm gonna keep our height. Locked in place. Moments like that really make me wish that I had a reset on my parry. Ow. Yeah, we're now actually taking damage when we get hit. Okay, I'm gonna go into kicks here. I really need to get a jet boot camo. Yeah, I've been considering going back and doing the same series, but for base game as well, because I know a lot of people that really get lost on what they should be doing in base game and how they should gear up. And I had someone ask me, like, you know, what should they get? What should they gear into? And because I haven't played base in so long, I really didn't know what to tell them. Like, it very much depends on what's available. So it's not that easy of an answer. Let's do this. Okay, actually need to pay attention for a minute, moments. We need to step cancel. So I've been tooling around with the idea of doing this for base game as well. For base game, this would be much longer because, again, it's all of base game, which is like 8 years worth of content. Not all of it relevant. A lot of it is very straightforward, where you don't have to really explain that much. Contrary to popular belief, base game is actually a very, very much solved formula. It doesn't require nearly as much as people like to make it sound like it does. Let's see, that goes into there, and we'll toss Pentolite into character storage. Awesome. All right. Next floor. I think we're actually at the final floor now, are we not? Yeah, we get floor 6, which is level 60, but it looks like it requires 2647 battle power. Interesting. So we are actually short on the battle power that we need to enter this. Now, the armor that we want to use is kind of expensive, but the thing is, it's also in Stia. If we could make it into Stia, we'd be able to use that armor and be good to go. So we may need to, this is not something that I foresaw as an issue, so I'm trying to think of what our options are going to be to resolve this. And maybe we'll resolve this in this video. Let's see, what are we looking like? Let's do a bit of problem solving, and I will be right back with you guys. All right, so for you guys, it's been, I don't know, probably a few seconds. For me, it's been close to about half an hour to an hour at this point. Wow, okay, so this battle power gate that I hit was actually pretty rough. So I was planning on essentially holding off on upgrading anything outside of what I just upgraded until we reach Stia. At least until we finish Ordinal Tower. Ordinal Tower, completing it gives us a plus 40 weapon that's already augmented 4 slots, so it would be a fantastic weapon to have. However, we ran into the issue of the battle power gate of 2649. That's the amount of battle power that we needed to go into the 6th floor of this, which we're about to do right now, as well as start Stia. As you can see, we've crushed that battle power gate pretty heavily, but man, was it actually just, it was a slog to fix. I considered, leveling up. As you can see, we didn't do that. I considered completing a bunch of quests. We didn't do that, but you probably noticed our money reserves are quite low. What we did was we picked up our first weapon of a total of 4 weapons that we are going to be using as our end game setup. The Christia weapon. Now, the Christia weapon is a weapon from a previous event, and what it does is it has a potential that provides back PP for enemies killed. Every enemy you defeat nearby gives you back 6 PP. This is a weapon that you can use to basically farm PSE bursts, and you don't need to have Force as a subclass. It basically gives you the skill that Force has in Eradicator bonus. I'm not sure if it's called that in this game. I know it was called that in base, but the Eradicator skill itself that gives back PP for enemies that die, it keeps you basically infinite PP whenever you're in a PSE burst, which is very, very useful. So having this weapon on your in your palette of weapons is very useful. It's very nice to have, and it'll be upgrading to plus 60 soon, so that'll be even nicer. As you can see, mine is only absorption unit 1, and it's not because this Fix Fatale was real expensive. This weapon was less than 100k. The problem was is setting this weapon up. The augments weren't that bad, but man, oh man, was everything else absolutely just nerve-wracking. The cost and upgrading potentials, way too high. The cost in multi-weaponing this weapon, 350k. It costs more just to multi-weapon this weapon than it costs for me to get it, augment it, and set it up fully. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna go over like a video talking about all of these things as feedback, honestly, for the dev team. But the Meseta sync here to the ratio of how much you make a week is way too high. For something as simple as multi-weaponing, right? Like, multi-weapons are fun, they're cool. Yes, they can be powerful, but at the same time, it's just the ratio of cost. Like, I would understand maybe if it was like 100k, but 350k for a 7-star weapon. Yeah, it's a 7-star weapon. This is some of the highest rarity we have access to, but that is way too much. Absolutely ridiculous. It should not be breaking the bank for someone if you don't have a lot access to a ton of Meseta, because realistically, a week, you're not making over $1 million from your weeklies. You're making like maybe 650k. I hadn't like really calculated out, but you're not making a ton. We've made a good amount. We've lucked out, taken care of quite a few things, but you're just not making that much. Now, we haven't grinded, right? We haven't grinded for money. We haven't done any of those things, which I would recommend if you're someone who's taking your time going through the game and enjoying yourself. Yes, grind for money, get that taken care of. We'll talk about that in later episodes because we will be doing that, but I wanted to avoid trying to grind because you're always gonna get those people that's like, I don't want to grind, I don't want to stop. And this is kind of the hardest part to get to if you're not doing that process. So if you're where I'm at, pick up a Christia weapon. It was a pretty massive gain over my previous one. As you can see, I was 50 or 25.69. I need to be 26.49. And just getting this weapon at plus 50, no augments, no potential unlock, put me at 2700. I'm now 2738 from doing all those things, but I was right up there. So I'd recommend at least picking up the weapon itself at plus 50 and maybe just equipping it to break the battle power gap. Make sure you're still within 5 levels of the target you're fighting, which we are. Enemies present are level 60, below 59, so we're good to go. As long as you're within 5 levels of the target you're fighting, you'll be able to deal damage to them and you shouldn't have any problems. So anyway, my rant is over. It's going to make this video longer than I wanted it to be, but let's go ahead and jump into the very last floor of Ordinal Tower. And I actually want to make sure I quit matchmaking here because this is the one floor people actually do occasionally, so we want to make sure that we're doing this solo. Man, oh man, that was a rough go. Honestly, like, I didn't think we were gonna make it to that battle power cap. Oh, this is floor 6. Okay, this isn't even the final floor. That's crazy. I'm sure people in the comments are like, that's not even the final floor. The final floor is even higher than this. We still have one more after this. I think this is fighting, oh, this is fighting Crocodilus. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be like a 30-minute plus video. I'm not even sure we'll be able to get into the next one. Hopefully we will. With 27, what are we, 27:38? We should break that battle power gap, but if we don't, it may be something we need to double back for. But we'll get it figured out. Yeah, I didn't foresee us having so many issues with battle power gates here. We may actually, now I think about it, if the enemies are level 65, we may not be high enough level to take care of the last gate. Is it? Okay, there we go. Oh, seriously? Okay. Oh, that was the bomb. I actually hate doing the bomb strats on Croc. Going around with my friends, I don't actually do anything with bombs. I let them take care of it. And just completely go all ham on fighting the boss. Tends to work best. At least for me. And the crazy part here is now we actually like, we're not multi-weapon anymore. So like all the awesome changes that we got from jet boots being a part of our setup no longer is strong. Okay, so now we want to toss the teeth in. Don't have to worry about getting intensities because we don't have the multi-weapon right now, so. We will get powerful though from completing these. That much is certain. And yeah, I'm ranting a bit right now, but it's just, man, this series has actually shown me some of the pain points that free-to-play players have, and there's some of them that just don't really need to exist. We have plenty of useful Meseta syncs in the game. I'm someone who was totally okay with the Meseta sync that was add-on skills because of how powerful they can truly be. But something like a multi-weapon, man, like it just makes your class feel functional. And that shouldn't really be punished. It should be celebrated. You should want to do those things. It should be fun. But unfortunately, that's not how this is made at the moment. Which is funny, right? Because I've always heard people complain and talk about how something is expensive and unfair as far as like they're concerned, but I've never heard them give like proper examples. And this is like the first time I'm like, okay, well, this makes a lot of sense. I can see why someone would run into problems with trying to set up a good weapon, because I've always looked at this and be like, you know, honestly, setting up a weapon is not that expensive. It's augmenting is super cheap, upgrading is super cheap. It's the unlocking of potential, which I mean is more reasonable, but the actual cost with multi-weaponing is, it's absolutely ludicrous. You know, unironically, this is, it's almost as useful to me, right? This is N6. If this is N7, this would be perfectly fine, but this is unfortunately not going to be enough. Another one of those situations that doesn't need to exist. They should just have them be just potential in general. All right, let's see if we run into one more battle power gate or into a level gate. Yep, we have. We've run into another battle power gate / level gate. This requires us to be 2878, and we are definitely not there. This is the final one, which would give us our weapon. Now, the good news is that we don't really need it. We do have the Christia weapon, and what we can do is just go ahead and head into Stia. That means it's going to change up my my recommendations for how I recommend you enter the Stia region while you're doing this leveling process. It says the goal is level 63 and to enhance your equipment as well as acquire minerals, clear side tasks. So I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to stop here. We'll have to have kind of a follow-up episode where we finish off the Ordinal Tower, because I mean realistically we can make more battle power gains, but the gains that we make are going to be just grinding, and I don't know if I want to recommend that to you guys. I want to see if I can find a pretty even spot to push to and do what we can do as far as making those gains and making it fairly straightforward and streamlined as to what I recommend you do as far as the upgrade is concerned. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. This is not the end of the video that I was looking for, but this is the end of the video that we've got and we'll have to work with. Let me know what you guys ran into as issues in the comments below, how you guys push through past this spot here. Again, this isn't going to be something that's impossible to beat. We definitely can. It's just a situation of how we're going to do it and how we're going to make it not painful for you guys to push through. Anyway, guys, like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace out.